Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Live from Nairobi, Kenya. So Gishmak to say, so it's a different country. Nairobi, Kenya. So what happened was this morning, probably maybe the earliest shir ever in MDY history, 5:30 a.m. Nice amount of people came. I don't know, I want to say 15, 20 more. Nice oil. 20, 30 at 5:30 in the morning. Even a bunch of guests that were never at MDY before. We had the guy from Lebanon and the son. They made a short out of it. So we had shir 5:30. At 6:30 we had chakras. 7:00 we were done with chakras. We went into the van, went to the airport. 14 hours later, we got to Kenya. So we're in Kenya, in Nairobi. We got to the hotel and we went straight to the conference room. We rented this beautiful conference room. We got water. So an hour later, somebody came and delivered food. So we're eating during shir. We gave a shir in Hebrew. And now we're on to shir number 2 in English. By the way, Ari, the rule is you could just get up and go. You can leave now. Everybody's welcome to go, besides Dave. Dave, you're not welcome to go anywhere. Everybody can go. It's a big schos. We're the chaverim here, and we're still waiting. The only people that are here in Kenya are the guys that left from Israel. All the Americans are on a flight now. I think they're already flying. No, they're on the way here. They're doing a direct flight from New York to here. There's one guy, Esterson, from Wilmington, North Carolina, who's in a hotel somewhere around here. I don't know. He should have came this year, no? Chaval. Okay. Hayoim. Here, show the Sfir Sa'imer. Hayoim Shishu Shleishim Yoim Shem Chamisha Shavuos V'Yoim Echad Ba'imer. We had a big schos to hear Eli Silber speak. And because this mic, I don't have the mic on me because of this device, the mic doesn't work on this one, so you gotta be careful. All noises are gonna be picked up. This guy, I don't know what his name is, but I was moved by him. I literally cried when he spoke to me. He's a Bachar Yeshiva, he's Kaliner Chassid, and he has a hard time getting up for davening in the morning. And he told his Yeshiva he wants to make a deal, some sort of incentive. He needs an incentive. And the Yeshiva said, okay, I'll do an incentive. What do you want to do? So he says, I want to be able to go to MDY once a week. He's in Kiryat Seif. The Yeshiva said, deal. So he comes once a week. So if you see him in the shir, give him chizuk, say hello to him. Well, that's his musig. He doesn't want a PlayStation. He doesn't want $1,000. He wants to be able to go to shir. I thought it's a beautiful thing. I call kabbalah to the Rosh Hashiva for agreeing to it. So it shows godless. What else do we have here? I'm 11-year-old at R Chaim in Los Angeles. Thank you for all the time spent to make such a wonderful shir. I've been doing it with MDY since Sanhedrin 105 and hope to finish the cycle in a few years. Thank you. Your Talmud, Avrohom Sandervan. You know this name? Sandervan, Ella? Avi? No? Both of you from Los Angeles. Okay. Givaldi. Going straight into the sponsors. The Masechta sponsored anonymous Hatzlacha bruchnius of Gashmius, monthly sponsors, Leah, Shevuos, Moshe, Leah, Shevuos, Yosef, Birevach, Tzvi, Nissim, Shoshana, Leah, Jeff's Gourmet, Los Angeles. It is 7 minutes to 12 a.m. So the island is getting a little tired. Moshe Aron Miriam Landy for the Hatzlacha of all our children. ActualEyes in honor of David Merkin of Eastern Union and all Silver Spring daffers. Weekly sponsors. Yomi Fai, Lili Nishma, Sheindel, Basar, Ychiel, Michal, Shalom, Alea Shalom, Yortzeit, like Boim, Latzlach, B'chol Anyonim. Ari Buckman, Lizech Nishmas, the Yortzeit of my father today, Yaakov ben Moshe, Mayer Farkovits, Lili Nishmas, my paternal grandfather, Reb Dov ben Reb Yisroel, Reb Dov Farkovits. May today's learning be a schos for his neshama and a source of comfort for the family. Ahuva Berman, we would like to dedicate today's learning in honor of Shal Baruch ben Batya Rezel. MDY Kids Monthly Innovations, Chus Official Alchona Akiva, Rivki and Mrs. Stefansky. This was Avi Kamyansky's idea, MDY Kids, and still going. Art of the Mother, Bush, Lema 4, Yonatan Eitam Ben Beshkeva Bracha. Was Chus for Rebellion, the whole MDY staff to continue to make toys on jobs so many. in honor of Yossi Klein and Mark Ashkenazi for all the work they do. I've always said there's a warning for parents and children that today's sugya has an adult theme to it. And then Amud Beis starts, we have a nice size agadata on Amud Beis, a real agata. We're dealing with a woman who's a nida, finds out she's a nida while she's having relations with her husband. And the halacha is that the husband must wait where he has less hana, because if he doesn't wait and he's pirish and he separates right away, there's more hana and he's chayiv. He's chayiv a carbon if he doesn't know. So it says the Gemara like this, we're holding 6 lines from the top of Daf Yudches Chai. Oh, I got to share with you my machshava that I had. We flew to Dubai, from Dubai to Kenya. And as I was flying over Dubai, looked out the window, and I saw what everybody else saw. I saw a bunch of dirt from hundreds of miles. It looked like a desert. It is a desert. And then Dubai comes into view, and it continues to be a desert. You don't see any grass. It's all like this. You ever been to Birevach? Like that brown, dark brown, like the brownish sand. Just sand. No, not a blade of grass. Not a single flower inside. Not a tree. Nothing. Just flat land. A real desert. And out of the desert, they built one of the most modern cities in the world. Maybe the most modern city. Some of the nicest buildings. I think it's a 6-star hotel. How many stars is that hotel? The only 6, 7-star hotel in the world. Gorge, everything's beautiful. They basically what they did is they took a midbar shmama and they made it into a beautiful place. And you can learn a big side that no matter what you're dealt with, you can make lemonade out of lemons, and whether it's your personality or your family or the community you're in, you can always make something beautiful out of it. If you just try, put the effort in, it can be beautiful. Zog the Gemara Marava. Oh, I didn't say the Zach. The Dubai, Kilibai. The Duvie, the my babe. So the Hasidim, if you have a Hasidic Avuda, the Dubai, Kilibai, Kilibai. This is a Mefurish Gemara in the Darb, Dubai. It's already there from the time of the Amaroi. Omarova, Tarvai Taninu. These 2 halachas of the beginning of the act and the end of the act, they're both in Mishnayos. Tarvayu, Taninu, Knisa Tanina, we learned in the Mishnah. Prisha Tanina, we learned in the Mishnah. Prisha Tanina, in our Mishnah, we learned Prisha. Diktani. He was with his wife, who was a Tahira, when they started. And then she tells him that she has her gosha. She can feel that she has dam, that she's tmeya. So he's an Amar, he doesn't know what to do. So he says, oh, I must separate myself immediately. Chaya. Then he's chayav a karba. Okay, so that's in our Mishnah. Knisa Tanina. And the start of the act is also in a Mishnah that says, Nimtza al shaloi tmeim b'chayavim b'karba. So there's a time when people would check with themselves with a bigger cloth, a white cloth, to see if they have any dam. So if the man used a bdika and he saw that he has dam, so it's obvious where it came from. He doesn't have a wound, so how does he have dam? It's obvious it happened from relations, and therefore they're both tummy. It was obvious that he's with a tmeim. He was with a nida b'shas ma'isa. So they're both tummy b'chayavim karban, and therefore they both have to bring a carbon. It was a shaygig. They had no idea, so they have to bring a carbon. Now there's 3 gdarim really. There's the oinus where they wouldn't have to bring a carbon at all. And that is if they had no reason to believe that this would happen. In other words, it wasn't during her Vesas period. It was the middle of the month sometime. But if it's by a time that he should not be with her because it's by her Vesas, every month she sees Dam at the same time. So he does have reason to believe that she'd be an either. Just what? He thought that he could finish before she become a nida. Okay, so that's more like a shoyig, carved lemezid almost, but it's a shoyig. That you bring a carbon. If it's a highness, you don't bring a carbon. And if it's a mazid, you knew that she was a nida, and anyways, so then you're chayv kares. That has nothing to do with the carbon. So the only time you bring a carbon is if you know you suspect it might happen, but you thought you could get away with it. So says the Gemara, Knisa Tanina, what do we learn about the start? Nimtza shaloi tmeim chayim carbon, my lab b'samach levesta. How is it a shayik? Because it was right by her veses. Because if it wasn't by the veses, it'd be oidus. Oh, and what's the chiyuv for? Aknisa, on the start. Well, Rabbi Baramas and L'Ravo says, Rabbi, no. Who told you? Maybe the pshat is it's in the middle of the month. It's not next to the vesa. Ba'aprisha. And therefore, he's not doesn't have to bring a carbon for the beginning part. The beginning part, he had no reason to believe in it. So that's oinus. Oinus, yipater. So why is he chayav? He's chayav on separating himself. Now, if that's the case, I don't need a mishnah for that. That we learned in our mishnah. That we learned in our mishnah. You're right. We don't really need it. And the reason why it's here is for something else. What do I need it for? I don't need this halacha that the man checked himself and he found, we don't need. That's part from our mishnah. So this is a big chiddush. When we get there, we'll see how much time after. But when she does a b'dika, it's possible that she saw dam, that the dam occurred after the relations, not during the relations. And if it came after the relations, then the man is not tamei. If a person's with a nida, he becomes tamei like a nida. 7 days, the whole thing. He's not tamei from it. He's tamei as a suffix because maybe the dam was from before, but maybe the dam came afterwards. So it's a suffix. Uptur men a carbon, and for that you don't bring a carbon. So that's the chiddush. Okay, so once I spoke about she finding dam, so I talk about him finding dam, even though there's zero chiddush in him finding dam, because we see that in our Mishnah that if he finds dam, he should not be punished right away. He should wait. How can you tell me this talking about that it's not by her veses, it's middle of the month, and it's talking about that he should separate himself slowly? It says that he found the dam. Where did he find it? On the bdika, on the cloth. When do you find? After the act, not during the act. But if it's talking about halacha about how fast a person should separate himself. If you're separating yourself, that means that you knew during the act that she's tmeya. No, nimsa means after the act. It doesn't fit in. So Rava tells Ravada, it's a good idea to listen to your Rebbe. Ravin is right. But how could I? Oh, so more than you guys never heard about the Beis Yisrael. You heard this Maisa? No, I didn't think so. All these guys said in the shir before. It's more. Yisrael was walking on Shabbos with one of his chassidim. Get a Rebbe, the Beis Yisrael. This is Mises from Mendy. And he says, he tells his chassid, he says, you see that pen over there? Go pick it up. So the chassid, no, it's muktzah. He says, I told you to pick it up. So the guy goes and he starts picking it up. So he slaps him in the face. He says, what are you, Meshiga? So what if I told you to pick it up? It's a Moridik lesson. I mean, I don't know about the slapping in the face part. I don't know if he did or didn't. That's how the story goes. So what if I told you? You know the halacha, you know it's also. So your Rebbe told you. So your Rebbe told you. Where he says you better listen, but I can't listen to the Rebbe. It doesn't make sense. I gotta stick up for what's true. It says we have to understand how do you explain the Mishnah that's talking about the beginning part. It says Zui mitzvah. Now there's two parts of that. There's the beginning, there's the end. In the beginning, I tell you, don't start to act. And at the end, I tell you, you should stay where you are. Don't be parish. One is a mitzvah say, and one is a lois say. When I tell you don't do this act, that's a lois say. So if we're talking about the beginning, so I'm telling you don't start. You just told me it's not a don't, it's a positive commandment. It's yes. Zui mitzvah say shebenidish chayav amaleh. It means that if you're right that we're talking about the chiyuv on the beginning, that's why you bring a carbon. It's not a mitzvah say, it's a mitzvah lois say. Don't start. So Rav explains to him, you're right. It's a nisi chasar ni hachi. It's mechseri chasuri v'achiktani. It's missing something. You're right. Exactly what you said is missing. You're right. There's a loisa said, don't start. So since he didn't know until afterwards, when he found the dam, so now he's a shaygis, he has to bring a chatas. But if he's in middle of relations, and she told him she's tame, and he thought that that's a good idea to separate himself immediately. Chayav for that is chayav. I'm going to see in a second why. Zui mitzvah sasei shebanida. That's the asay. The loisa says don't start, but if you started and she tells you she's a nida, then do not separate. You should stay as is. That's a mitzvah sasei. Zui mitzvah sasei shebanida. Okay. Now we're going into the details. Omar Mar. Hirish miyad chayav. His wife tells him she's a nida, and he separates himself right away. He's chayav a carbon. What should he do? How is he not chayav a carbon? He puts his 10 fingers into the ground, if he's there, and that will help him that his aver will die out. But Duvie, and it'll be good for him. He'll get a lot of schar for that, for controlling his yetzer. Inside that we learned, everyone remembers this, everybody remembers the famous Gemara, that when Yosef Atzadik had this big taiva for Eishes Petifar, so Noat Eser Tzipara Bakarki put his 10 fingers in the karka, v'yotza shichva zera meno, the zera came out of his fingers. So Rav Haigoin over there says, what's pshat? What does it mean? So he says it's not literal. Some Rishonim say it's literal. He says not literal. What it means is that by digging his fingers into the ground, he was able to control his taiva. He got rid of his taiva, got rid of the shichva zera through the fingers. You see from this Gemara says Rava, we have Machlokes Abai Rava. Says Rava that if a person has relations with any of their rights, let's say a shish, a sister, whatever it is, but his aver is mace, he's potter. In fact, that's how we pass it. That you potter from chorus, you potter from malchus. Why? Because it's not considered an act of bia. It's not a real act. Yet the halacha is that if somebody does that, he is over on that, he'll get makas mardus from Bezdin. Bezdin will punish both of them, the man and the woman. This chayav, and he proves it. If you say that mishamish meis barais is chayav, hocha my time and potter. So what about our sugya? When he finds out in the middle that she's meya, he's potter. If he waits long enough, he's potter. Mishum donos. So if he's a oinus, because he found out in the middle, so then why is he chayiv at any case? So let's see parish right away. He's still a oinus. Why is he chayiv? Onos. Says by the way, there's some that learn from here, from this Gemara, that the Gemara calls it Aver Mace. It's mace, but it's not really mace. In a way it is, but it's not mace. So the Gemara said, they learn from here that this idea that when you don't have chiyus, you don't have a geshmak in something, it's considered dead. You have to have a geshmak in life, you have to have a geshmak in mitzvahs. And there's a maisa that they say from the Ruzhiner, I'm allowed to say it because I'm Litvish. The Ruzhiner, they ask him once, why is it that Hasidim, after davening, a lot of times they have tikkun. And the Litvaks, they don't have tikkun. They say Mishnayos, whatever. She says, because the Chassid, when he davens, such fervor, with such gishmak and a varmkeit, so it's like he's reborn. You have a new kid, you have to make a simcha, you bring your kichel, you bring the herring, and all that. Oh, that's the best. You ever see those old guys right after shachar, the herring, Aki. Yeah, and then a geschmacka bronfen. So on the slivets on the morning. It's worthy. Maybe the Litvaks had that once too many, and they decided to make a thing against it. And the Litvak, after coming from such a culted tefillah, it's like he died. Oh, when you die, you say mishnayos. That's what the Regina said. Okay, obviously I don't agree with that. The Litvaks have very vibrant tefillah. Depends where. I've been to some shtivlach with Hasidim. They daven so fast. It's like, you know what I'm saying? And they mumble, stumble. And I've been to places where they daven with Shmuel's kavan. I've been to places where the Litvaks make the Hasidim look like the joke. They're 40-minute Shmonesres. It goes both ways. Says the Gemara. Oh, says Abaye. No, I could argue the opposite. You should know that if you use Aver Mace, you chayiv. Welcome my time Potter. So then what's the pshat by us? How is this guy Potter? So what if he waited in its mace? Why is he Potter? Mishum the onasu, because he's a oinus. Well, the Amriski Parish miyad am I chayav. So if he's a oinus, then why is he chayav at all? Even if he separated immediately, why is he chayav? And here comes the big idea of the whole sugya. We told him you should have less enjoyment. Upirish bahana maruba, and when he separated, he had too much enjoyment. In other words, you get punished for the added hana. He had to wait a few minutes and have less hana, and he didn't wait, and he separated immediately, and he had more hana. Without more hana, you bring a carbon. So they ask a shaila, very interesting. What about Yom Kippur? Mom, I hear myself talking. I just said this. It's not right. What? Yeah, but we should go over here. Yeah. Yeah, it says it. Where is it? You want to just put it back? Yom Kippur. Person is told by a doctor that he must eat on Yom Kippur. So he eats. What is he permitted to eat? Could he eat, or should he eat just bread, plain old bread without butter? Or he could eat chocolate and Coca-Cola. Once he's eating, he's eating. Over here we have the same shiloh. Is maybe you should do hana muetas, less enjoyment. You should actually suffer while he's eating. You should eat. Like we're gonna have a sugya tomorrow, I don't know when, a few days from now. Offer. He eats offer. He's eating dirt. Maybe he should eat dirt. Well, not dirt. He should eat spoiled stuff. So the Ar Samech says, when it comes to Arayis, the whole problem of Arayis is the Hana. That's what that's the Isra of the Arayis. The Isra is Hana enjoyment. Food is not about enjoyment. Food is about the shear. How much of a shear? There's a kibetza, there's a kiseves, a gasa. That's the problem. And I think there are those who argue on it. According to what you're telling me, a person he waits a long time until Eber Mace, then he's pottery completely. If he doesn't wait, then he's chayav. So it's very similar to what we said in the Mishnah. In fact, it is brought in our Mishnah, but our Mishnah doesn't make that distinction. Our Mishnah says, just to remind the Olam, we're going to chart 13. I'm not touching. You want to do the next one also? Do the next one. While you're watching this, a tremendous shout out to Avremi, who is working hard over there in Yisrael to get this new program up and running. Be'ez Hashem, it's going to be better for us. It's working not bad. Certainly very good for the first day. And of course, I have to say shkoyach to, is this table shaking? Then the whole shir was shaking? Right? I have a tripod that we could have put on the floor. Okay. Anyway, maybe you can figure out tomorrow. Something just happened. What's going on? Offline, it says here. It's recording with offline. No, it went back on. Now I see the picture again. Okay. What happened? It recognizes. It recognizes. When you talk Bidul Torah, AI, it stops. Okay. So what do we have here? So we have that the Mishnah should have said both. That in Nida also, there's a long way and a short way. The long way is mutter, the short way is also. But I'm in English now. We only spoke about Tum and Beis Hamikdash. And so the Gemara says, Ella, I'll tell you why. You should believe dummy. Aruga dahacha, the ksar the hasam. Aruga the hasam, ksar the hacha. What does that mean? So first I'll show you mine. Oh, here. Migdash, if you go out in the short one, you're potter. Nida, if you go out in the long one, you're potter. So they're not similar, they're the opposite. Yes, there's a distinction between long and short, but the opposite. In the Migdash, when you go out the long way, you're chayiv. Nida, you go the long way, you are potter. What happened? Nida, right. Migdash, you go the long way, you're chayiv, and Nida, you go out the short way, you're chayiv. And Nida, the long way you potter, Migdash, the long way the short way you potter. Okay. Or Yoshi's. Here's Yoshi. Yoshi. This one right here. Tommy Derech Tzara is good. Tommy Derech Haruka, according to, is no good. Nida Derech Haruka is great. Derech Tzara is the problem. Okay. Oh, I have to do a sponsorship, no? Turning of the daf, Kinnovation is seen honor of our sons Kalmo Yisroel for learning to understand Michael Shevuos with rebellion. Adar Global from Gourmet, still experts in international financial services. He's mamish. You should know. We got on the plane today, and all these Africans from Kenya. They asked him for signature. They said he's a celebrity. He was in the Army magazine on lunch break. They wanted his blood. People in the airport, wherever he's going, they were running over to him for autographs and everything, selfies, autographs, the whole thing. Anonymous. I said no. In honor of the tzaddik whose name we cannot say, who shows us what it means to be a giver and a tzaddik? That's not him.
It's not him. It's Mark.
Mark. Rhymes with dark. Maski b'lo Rav Huna b'reider Rav Nosson u'miyomar Rabbi Yonasu. Oh, Taka. Did Rabbi really say that a person who finishes the act be'ever mace is a anos? The only way to be oinus is if it's not close to the best, like we explained before. If a person has reason to believe that his wife could be a nida today, then he's not a oinus, then he's a shaygi. If it's in the middle of the month sometime and he has zero reason to believe that she'll be a nida, then he's a oinus. So you tell me that Abai is talking about in a case that there's oinus. But Abai the Omar chayiv shtayim. Didn't Abai say he's chayiv two korbanos? Now, how could that be? The only way you're chayiv a second korban for the beginning of the act is when it's a shaygi, not when it's itis. So how come you tell me it's itis? When did Abai say chayiv two? Stop in the Veltarai. It's possible that a person who's with his wife, samach levesta, he'd be chayiv two. But over here in our Mishnah, he's saying that it's talking about where is a complete itis. And therefore he's not chayiv too. Like Kenya, we're in Kenya, Rabbi Shimon ben Yosi ben Le Kenya, Hazar leBalina ben Ayman Torah. Where do you see in the Torah a iser to be with a nida? Shagal Kala Pasuk Be. He took a piece of dirt and threw it in his face. Here, like mamish, like this picture. You can see it, mamish. Brothers. Yeah, two brothers. It's normal. They used to fight with each other. Yeah. Sibling rivalry. Hazar lebayil nido. What do you mean Hazar lebayil? What are you doing? Be'alisha beniz to muscle cigarette. It's my first apostle. Every kid in cheder knows this. Obviously, that's not what he meant to ask. Elo Hazar le'mishamish our sugya. How do you know? He's with the Tahira of Amr twice, and then she tells him she's Tameh, the Loin Nifresh Miyad. The halacha is he shouldn't separate himself right away. And how do you know that halacha? That her nida should continue being with him. Now, what is this? There's a time and a place, not every time, but in an emergency situation, we find that she's a nida. Day the act, then he should stay there in one place. Even though she's a nida, he should remain there until it's mutter for him to separate. Ashkechon say, but the usihi nidasa is a lashon of a positive commandment of an asay. You should be with the nida. But we're talking about a chiyuv to bring a carbon. To bring a carbon could only be when there's a loisas and not an asay. So where's the loisas? Omar papa, omar kro, sikra. You shouldn't come close. But nami tifrashu. It also means you shouldn't separate yourself. How do I know? It says by nazir or imrim krabi lecho al tigash bi. Sometimes it's also to separate from yourself. Tonar Bizardim is bnei Yisrael mitum. You should warn Klal Yisrael from the tumah. Rabbi Yoshem Mikan Azara bnei Yisrael sheyufreshum and sheisem samach lebistan. Chol Yisraelim is the Reis or the Smachta. But there are Rishonim who say that this Isser to be with your wife before she's a Nida, we're almost finished, another 10 minutes, just, you have reason to believe that she will be a Nida that day. Why? Because every single month, that's the day that she becomes a Nida. That's called a Veses in Lashon Chacham. It's a chiyuv to separate yourself before that. Why? This says in the pasuk, "V'zartim is bnei Yisrael mitumos v'kama." How much do you have to separate? Omerabba, or So according to a lot of Rishonim, it means one time period. Meaning that typically speaking, she sees during the day. So that day that you anticipate that whole day, from the morning, from Netzachama till the night. And if she typically sees at night, so from Shkia till the next morning. If you do not, or you're not making this possible, you don't separate before the Veses. I feel like having the bottom given Aaron, even if you have children that are as great as Aaron, Mason they will die. Vizartim is bnei Yisrael b'tumasam. It says first you should warn the from the tumah. V'adav b'nidas talking about it. It's right next to Psukim of Achimois that they shall die. Here's an agadata. It tells you how to have bonim schar, male children. By being this thing to be parish mishlei samach levista, the whole world is going to have bonim schar. Everybody's mekayim this. The chsiv. Oh, Rabbi said, kiss from Hashem. Pasha, kiss from Hashem. We're here the first night in Kenya, and Beis Hashem tomorrow we're doing one extra game drive that the Americans are not going to be able to go on. Beis Hashem, we're going to Nairobi National Park. It's a smaller safari, but we're going. So we're here. We're actually the first day. We're here in the hotel. It's only 10 minutes away from where we are, safari. And we have the pasuk that tells you the chiyuv. I'm not even joking. People think I'm joking. There is a chiyuv. There's a mitzvah asay doiraisa according to the Rambam to understand the difference between tummy animals and tar animals. Here's the pasuk. The chsiv lahavdil ben atome ubein atar. Mamish a mitzvah say doiraisa. Now some say that you could be behind the mitzvah by looking at pictures. But come on, those people would never be soymach looking at pictures. Going to the Alps, shtoifer with pictures. Reminds me, I remember exactly what it was, many years ago, like 20 years ago or so, in Chicago, this guy, Kenny Berger. Remember Kenny Berger from Chicago? Everybody does it, but I just remember him. He sent me a card before Purim and says, in lieu of Shalach Manas, I'm donating $20 to this and this organization. So I wrote him back a letter. I said, in lieu of Tkiyah Shofar, I'm going to donate money. The mitzvah is to give Shalach. What do you mean in lieu of? You better give me a Shalach right now. I don't know if he appreciated it, but I do remember writing him a letter back. I did. Back in the day, put a stamp on it, send it back to him. And I wrote Tkiyah Shofar. I'm pretty sure I said Tkiyah Shofar. In lieu of Tkiyah Shofar, what do you mean in lieu? In lieu of going to the safari, you cheapskate. You don't want to go to safari, you're going to look at a picture book? Come on. No revayim. And then, here's the big problem that I have. I offered the olam, the mitzvah for them for $100, and not a single person took me up. No revayim. No revayim. He said people don't understand how come Mashiach doesn't come because they don't care about these mitzvahs. Every mitzvah is chashav. Only matzah is chashav. You go to a chabura that they're makbid with a magnifying glass and this. And what about the mitzvah of lahadal min haTorah min haTamei? You would that not. No revayim. No revayim. I'd be lying. Oh, it's an old one. I'd be lying. I'd be lying if I said different. The siv lahadal min haTamei min haTorah. Samach lei. You see that if you go to the safari, you zoicha for bottom scharim. Oh, Rabbi Isai, check out this beauty. I really think they should sell this. I'm gonna. Oh, Zafta. Hold on. Where's the sound? It's not going on my screen. Oh, here we go. Rabbi Isai, if you don't hear the sound, just look at the face here.
Good morning, Rabbi Isai.
Is this something new, special? Hold on, what's the new one? Where's the the leopard moves? Okay, it kind of works with us. Givaldic. Okay, thank you, Yoshi. Just remember, I'm going to print it out. I'm going to put it on my fridge. It's a geschmack picture. For me, at least. Put it in the sukkah. Give the new. What is it? These guys see? Let's see. What is it? What is it supposed to look like? Oh, this guy? That's not good. Oh, here's another one. Here. Here's the Hadi Ben Atome. Oh, wait, so we're almost finished. Let's go. We're doing great. Oh, this button does work?
Yes.
Oh, that's a Tame, that's a tar. What is he showing? That's a tar. It's one of the most dangerous animals, this buffalo. It's not a bison, buffalo. It's one of the big five. I'm gonna have to teach you guys though. I'll give you a little lesson. It's that's the kudu and hyena. Be'ez Hashem, we'll see this. This isn't Masimara. This isn't Serengeti. The amount of animals here has to be Serengeti. Oh, they're fighting. There's the leopard. Okay, what are we doing? National Geographic here? Oh, wow. Oh, he kicks the. He saw he came out of nowhere and kicked the lion. Where the cheetah? That's a cheetah. Fastest animal on land. Okay, right. I could sit here all day. Oh, that's Meshuggah, the leopard jumping from a tree on top of the thing. Avi. Right there. Okay. Good. That was too much. You did a nice job. So, okay, we said this, right? If a person is makbid on Veses, then he'll have kids that will become Moire Hara. Obviously, if they learn Torah not by themselves, they'll have to learn also. They'll say, have the Ulahires. Huh? Yeah, of course. Some of us. Meaning the Oina before. The Oina before. Omer Rabbi Biyom Bar Yefes, Omer Rabbi Lezer, Omer Rabbi Lazar. Called him Kaddish is asking B'Shas Tashmish. A person conducts himself with tznius during relations. Having loy bottom schar. I skip. I did skip. Omer Reb Chia Barab, Omer Reb Yosef. Kol hamavdil ala yayin b'motzoi Shabbos, so he's having the bottom schorm. If the person makes Havdalah on wine, not on grape juice. Anybody that went to Reb Chaim Kanievsky to ask him for bottom schorim, usually that's what he would say. You should make Havdalah. Yeah, I'd say you make Havdalah on grape juice or wine. No, you should make on wine. L'chayra has nothing to do with bottom schorim. Also, it's better to do on wine. So those who are makpid, it's kedai maybe to take that up. To differentiate between the kedusha of Shabbos and the weekday. And over there it also says lahavdil. That's why we do havdalah by atachoin and lodom das, because lahavdil to make the differentiate. That's chachma. The whole Gemara basically, the whole style of Gemara is to learn how to differentiate between the two different halachas, etc. To understand, to differentiate between kedusha and chol, between tomei and tahar, you have to have das. So that's where havdalah goes in. It goes into the bracha of atachoin lodom das. So since there's a havdalah, a differentiation between kodesh and chol, and also we saw the differentiation between tom and tar, v'samachlei ishok isazriya, the yolda zachar, you'll have banim. Yishov and Levi Omer banim rum leira, you'll have banim, have sons that could pass in. Say lahad l'horis. Omer Rabbi Omer Yav, Omer Rabbi Loser. Kol v'kadosh that's mishas tashmish. If a person conducts himself with sneeze during tashmish, have loy banim scharim will have male children. Shenema yiskadishtem yisim gdoishim. You should make yourself kadosh, and you'll become kadosh. Just as a hara, I think there's some confusion in this halacha. I'm just asking me b'shas tashmish. I've heard from really big people that this sometimes is something that creates tension in a marriage, where when people don't know what this is and they do different things. But according to Rabbeinu Yoina and Rabbeinu B'chai, who are Rishonim, what it means is something very simple, not a Mekadesh Atzmoy and he's Hoichin Yonim is learning Torah, whatever it is, which is completely us, obviously. But Mekadesh Atzmoy means a person who doesn't think about another woman, B'shas Tashmish, according to them. Rebbe Lezer Oimer Hasheretz V'nela Mimeno. So just to see the Mishnah real quickly, it's interesting. You look at the Mishnah, and the Mishnah says, Rebbe Lezer Oimer Hasheretz V'nela Mimeno, all the Mishnahs that we're talking about until now, that a person forgot that he is Tam and he walks into the Beis Hamikdash. A person forgot that he's Tam and he eats a carbon. What's the other thing he could forget? He can't forget that it's the Beis Hamikdash. He could forget that it's a carbon. No, says Rebbe Lezer. It's only when he forgets that he's Tam, not that he forgets about the Beis Hamikdash. And then it says, you're not chayav on forgetting the Beis Hamikdash. Rebbe Kiva Omer, he says the same exact thing. What happened there? We're good? Even though I'm paused like that? Okay. So, what's going on here? My benayu, they're saying the same exact words. There's a great machlokes here. Mamish, a beautiful machlokes. Let's say a person ate a rat, but he thought that he ate a cow that died without shechita. Or we should say tumah. Yeah, he touches the sheretz. He touches the nevel. Is he tumah or not? Because he doesn't know what the source is. He thought the source is A, but it's really B. You need to know the source. Rebbe Lezer says if you don't know the source, you don't bring a carbon for that. The kiv and the yoda, the itma ba'olam. Rebbe says you don't need to know. The bottom line is your tummy. You don't have to know the difference. That is the machlokes between Rebbe Lezer and Rebbe Baruch. Rebbe Lezer says you need to know the difference. Remember, you need to know the difference. Only then do you bring a carbon oil b'yari. You go into the Beis Hamikdash, you bring a carbon oil. The Ula Rami, the Rebbe Eliezer. So Ula has a contradiction between Rebbe Eliezer, and he explains it away, making a distinction between a carbon oil b'yari and a chatas. What's the distinction? What's the question? Umeshani and he answers. Does Rebbe Eliezer really say that a person needs to know before he goes into the Beis Hamikdash whether he touched the sheretz or he touched the nevela, and only then he's chayav a carbon oil b'yari? Meaning, we learn Rebbe Eliezer monav shach. What's going on? A person has two plates in front of him. One is chaylev and one is noiser. Here, where's the chaylev? So shout out to Betty Rodnick thinking about the Chevra, not thinking about yourself, thinking about somebody else. We got to Dubai, and we were kind of hungry because we didn't have breakfast. We went straight from Shachris on a plane, and no one was hungry. And everybody's looking in their bags for a shtickle, a potato chip, or whatever. And then he pulls out 15 pounds of this. How much is 6 kilo? 13.2. 13.2.
Multiply by 2 at 10%. Oh, exactly.
You just made it more confusing. Multiply by 2.2 is much easier for you.
No, the only thing it was 5.8.
What?
6 times 2.2.
It was 5.8.
But 6 times 2.2 is how much?
13.2.
6 times 2, you add 10.
Okay, whatever. 13 pounds.
5.8.
13 pounds of this stuff, of this chalif. Okay, because it has chalif right over here. Let's call this chalif. This is smoked geschmack stuff. It was really, really delicious. It was actually delicious. It was at the right time, at the right point. It was the right amount. And then, of course, right in the middle of our sandwich, they said, "You got a board, you got a board." But okay, fine. It was geschmack. It was very, very good. And he brought the ketchup, the whole thing. Everybody had one of these. The women, everybody. So he says, in this case, where he doesn't know the difference between chaylev, whether he ate chaylev or noisar, and then he doesn't need to know the difference. The bottom line is you're chayav. Why? Why is it different? If Rebbe Lezer is the person who says you have to know what you were tummy when you went into the Beis Mikdash, was it sheretz and avelo? Shouldn't he say you should know whether you ate chaylev or whether you ate noisar? So he says you're right. There shouldn't be a difference, but this psukim. Once it's psukim, that makes all the difference in the world. Shabbos chilul chayav, Yom Kippurim chilul chayav. What if he doesn't know? If he knows he drove in a car. It was either yesterday, the day before, but one of them was Shabbos, one of them was Yom Kippurim. So you chayav or not? You chayav. He knows that they had relations. He just doesn't know. Ishtoi nidabal was his wife, or achoisa. She happened to be in the house at the same time. He doesn't know if it's his wife or his sister. But either way, you chayav. It says the word ba. When it comes to Eilu B'Yored, you have to know what it is. By regular chatas, it says shchata v'hevi. Or Rachmana chet kol shu hacha mikdich siv b'chol davar tamei or b'nivlas sheretz tamei. It says in the pasuk b'chol davar tamei, you are tamei with everything. So then, if it's true, then why does the Torah have to continue and say or b'nivlas sheretz tamei? Everything, of course, sheretz, chaya, behema. Shmamin al b'ina nadiyidai b'sheretz it may be nevelet me. So you see, the reason why the Torah continues is because over there you do need to know by Tuma whether or not it was a sheretz, whether or not it was an avela. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.